Jeep was once a word meant to tease, not a vehicle, not an off-road icon, not a billion-dollar brand, just a nickname American soldiers in the 1930s used for inexperienced recruits or for brand-new equipment nobody quite trusted yet. A little harsh, right? A name that began with doubt and later became legend. The interesting question is this: what allows a slang term with a slightly mocking tone to completely reverse its own destiny? If you dig through U.S. military slang dictionaries from before World War II, you'll find that Jeep had nothing to do with cars. It referred to something unproven, a new device in storage, an experimental weapon, or a young recruit fresh out of training. Still awkward and unsure. Picture a military camp in 1938. An 18 or 19-year-old recruit, not yet comfortable in his steel helmet, steps out of rhythm during a march. A veteran glances over and mutters, "Another Jeep." In that moment, Jeep nearly meant greenhorn. Military language is practical. It isn't concerned with politeness. It's designed for quick classification. A short, single-syllable word that cuts through noise is perfect in a loud, chaotic environment. So when, in 1940, the U.S. Army began testing a completely new reconnaissance vehicle, small, unfamiliar, and unproven in real combat, the label Jeep was almost waiting. That vehicle was also the new kid. Willys Overland introduced the MB model, weighing about 1 tons, roughly the weight of a full-grown cow. It carried a 2.2-liter engine producing around 60 horsepower. If you're used to modern cars with 200 horsepower, 60 sounds modest. But imagine those 60 horsepower pulling just over a ton of steel across terrain without paved roads. It could climb slopes of 60%. A 60% incline means that over a 10-meter stretch, the elevation rises 6 meters. Stand at the bottom and look up, you might think. No chance. The vehicle didn't think that way. At first, though, many seasoned officers were skeptical. They were accustomed to larger trucks, heavier frames. This compact machine, with exposed wheels and a stripped-down appearance, looked almost like a mechanical toy, so they called it what they called anything new and untested, a Jeep. There was a trace of irony in the tone, as if to say, let's see how long this kid lasts. But battlefields don't care about attitude. They care about performance. That steel Jeep began doing what no one expected. It crossed mud where larger vehicles got stuck. It slipped through forests where trucks couldn't pass. It towed artillery, transported wounded soldiers, served as a command vehicle, and even mounted machine guns. Each successful mission was like passing another exam, and with every test it survived. The word that once implied inexperienced lost its edge of doubt. Can you see the shift happening? There's a fascinating psychological mechanism sometimes described as label reversal. When a group or object is tagged with a doubtful or dismissive label but proves its value repeatedly, the label can be reclaimed and transformed into a badge of strength. That's exactly what happened with Jeep. Between 1941 and 1945, more than 600,000 units were produced. 600,000 means that if you lined them up bumper to bumper, the column would stretch for thousands of kilometers longer than the entire length of Vietnam. That number shows the Army wasn't merely experimenting. They believed in it. Soldiers began telling stories about the Jeep as if it were a reliable companion. Not in a romanticized way, but because in many situations, it truly determined whether they made it out alive. By then, Jeep no longer meant rookie. It had evolved into something closer to the one that endures, a small machine that refused to quit. When the war ended, Willys didn't avoid the name that once carried a hint of mockery. They registered it as the official trademark, Jeep. It was a remarkable turnaround. A slang term born in skepticism became a symbol of durability. Language is flexible. It doesn't remain loyal to its original meaning. it remains loyal to lived experience. When experience changes, meaning follows. So the next time you see the word Jeep on the hood of a polished SUV, remember that it once described someone or something that hadn't yet earned trust. And maybe that's the most compelling part of the story. Not the 4x4 system, not the 60 horsepower engine, but the way a teasing nickname climbed into a place of honor simply by doing its job well. If a word that once meant unproven can become a legend, how many things around us are still in their Jeep phase doubted today, but destined to become symbols tomorrow? That's a question worth continuing to investigate.